Okay, hello, welcome back to part three. Part three, um, I'm actually going to end up having to do a part four to this as well. So this is part three of the 187 decode now. And what I'm going to go through in this is I'm going to touch on back on what I was touching on in the last video. I'm just going to recap a little bit because, of course, I forgot to mention a few things. And then we're going to move on with some of the stuff that's in popular culture around the 187. Okay, so the first place that we want to go to is we want to go to back to this diagram that we were on the last video. Okay, again, please go watch the previous videos. Please go look at some of my other stuff on the dollar decodes, because a lot of this stuff will not make sense if you haven't seen previous videos. Okay, that's the caveat. Please don't whine about it. Okay, not making sense and me sounding like a crazy man. All right, yeah, okay, I sound like a crazy man, but it's just the way it's got to be. All right. Anyway, if you remember in the previous video, we were talking about these different cycles and these numbers that are within the dollar bill, which dates they lead to. Okay, and the birth and the death dates that these things lead to, or the birth and the death and the rebirth dates that these things all lead to, through this number here, through the 213. Okay, which is the start of this set of numbers here, 213. Okay, and I alluded to the fact that this is a 10-year cycle, except when we're dealing with pi. At 10 years, we're at half of pi. We're at a 180-degree flip. Okay, and so we need to do another 10 years, which is where we get the 20 years. Well, it's not just where the 20 years for Odysseus comes from, but it fits in nicely with that idea of Jupiter and Saturn coming back into alignment. Okay, and so that whole idea of the Odyssey taking 20 years, going to war for 10 years, and then the voyage home for 10 years, right? Now, so this can now become a balance point, a tipping point, a pivot point in the whole cycle, if you like, in the whole 20-year cycle. Okay, so that's where we got to in the last video, and I've talked about this thing that I've put into the chart here. This will look a little bit different from earlier versions of the chart, because I've highlighted this. Well, highlighted it. I don't know if that's the right word. I've changed these colors here so you can see this X. X marks the spot. Yeah. X marks the spot where the treasure is buried. Balance is the treasure. Yeah. Returning to a state of balance is the treasure. Yeah. And X, the cross, the Christ, is the cross. And here we have the cross of St. Andrew. Okay. Yeah, the Scottish cross, if you like. That's why I've done it in blue and white. Okay, because at the center of this cross is the 11, is again the pi. Yeah, this is the two legs. We don't have the wire running across the top, but this is the two legs of pi. Okay, the legs 11. Now, why I wanted to talk about this is because in a previous video I mentioned, look, we've got the 187 running this way, and we've got the 911, or the 711 is what people call it, what I call it. We had that event there, and opposite that event is 187. Okay, now this is also re-emphasized here with these same set of numbers here. Yeah, 711, this 18 back to a 911 here, and the 718, the 817 running right here. These three numbers right here. So this is right at the center of this thing, right at the balance point. What we have running this other direction is what I was going to go into and forgot about, is this 33. Okay, the 33, one of the numbers of man. This is when the sun and the moon come back into balance every 33 years. This is when the 187 happened. Jesus dies on the cross at the age of 33. Okay, 3 plus 3 is 6. Okay, the number of man, 6 days of creation, 1 day of rest. Rest is the balance point again. Yeah, when the teeter-totter is not moving backwards and forwards, being pulled one way or the other way, it comes to rest. It comes to balance. That's what the scale does. It comes to balance point. It comes to rest. Okay, so we can tie all these ideas back into creation, back with the number 6, back to the number 7 now. I mean, you know, back with this set of numbers that we were looking at in the last video as well. I mean, and one other thing that I forgot to mention and home in on was the 18th of July, the 187 number that I was saying I think this one's the most likely, is the 199th day of the year. Okay, and here we have the 199 in the 11 column, which coordinates with the 254 of the 254th day of the year, which was 9/11. So those two dates here, 187 and 9/11, yeah, with the days of the year, coordinate back here under the number 11. Under the number 11, pi is the number 11 with a value of 80. Okay, so we covered all that in the last videos, so I'm really going over stuff again now. So this 33, yeah, the final number of man down the bottom here, right? So the final part of the column, yeah, the very root of the column. This thing's balancing over here with these two sets of numbers. Now, I forgot to mention this, but of course we can insert a 1 between this 23, the 2/3, the 666, and we've got several different dates for the 23rd. The 23rd of May here, okay, the 23rd of May happens to be the 143rd day of the year, with 222 days remaining. The 143rd day and 22 days remaining. Okay, so this is interesting. Yeah, 9/23, we mentioned that in the last video. That corresponds back with this number. Okay, go back to this thing. Here's the 9/23. Okay, corresponding back with the 76. I mean, we're just literally, I mean, I keep saying it, we're going around in circles, but that's what we're doing. We're just going around in circles, because that's how you balance time through a cycle. Okay, that's what time does, is it balances. It balances itself through a cycle. I don't know, that doesn't really make sense, but anyway. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but we can insert that 1, the 1 in between here, okay, to get the 213, okay. But here we go again. We've got 53. Well, if I insert a 1 in between that 53 and just read that thing backwards, it's 315. And what was I saying in that last one about the 315? Yeah, it both, if we come off this pivot point again with the 315, we come back to a birth and a rebirth date. Okay, so that 315 in this cross here, so these numbers are super significant right here. They're all to do with rebirth. Yeah, the sun and the moon coming back into balance, the death and the rebirth of man, that is going on the cross, is to be rebalanced. Yeah, and again, these two numbers here are both to do with that as well. This is the 315 is the sum of these numbers right here, okay, that leads up to that thing. Okay, and again, we've got that twice over because we're doing a 20-year cycle, so we've got this thing going over twice here. Just interesting, you know. Now, so I wanted to mention that this is the fact that this is, again, the, you know, the X is 10 in Roman numerals. Yeah, 10 here, half the cycle, a full cycle as well. I mean, it just depends the way you want to read this information. All right. Now, some other interesting things just to note before I come off of here. Here's the 155 again. That's the jump that we're making to get to 187. Yeah, to the 199th day of the year. That's that jump there. And that jump is balanced with this number here, 1114. We'll come back onto 1114 in a little while, but 1114 is the, if I'm thinking right, it's the 318th day of the year, which is November the 14th, right here. And the significance of this day, again, is that if you look at the twin day for 1114, oh, well, the other significance to that day of the year is 318 leaves you with 47 days left in the year. Yeah, the 47, the independence that surrounds the balance scale, the balance point, is independence from the system. So this is independence, this is independence, this is independence, and so the 155 at some point has to be independence as well. All right, because it's opposite this thing. Yeah, this is 47 days left in the year. And if we go to the other side, if we go to the twin date for the 14th of November, right here, if we go to the other side of the year now, that brings us to 216. Yeah, 6 times 6 times 6. Yeah, the double cross, again, 6 cross 6 cross 6. Okay, that brings us to 216. Okay, that's the importance of that number, and that number is to do with 666. I know this will upset some people. It's the Trinity, yeah? Okay, it's this thing becoming balanced, yeah? And so you have to repeat this thing 6 times. Okay, each leg, although we call the leg a different thing, it's basically the same thing, okay? But in just a slightly different format, if you like. The same way as the physical world is a reflection of the metaphysical world, right? It's difficult to say that they're the same thing, but they are the same thing essentially. They all come from that same point of balance. So anyway, this 155 that we've got at the top of the dollar bill, and this CRM 114 right here, which is referenced in so many films. Again, this is a 666. This is a Trinity idea again, okay? And it's to do with independence, 47, yeah? 47, 47, and this, ergo, this has to be 47 across from here as well. It's a reflection here, okay? So going into independence, this is another case for this 155 jump, yeah? And if you go 511, that's the balance point for, so if I go 511, right? If I do 511 plus, so 511 plus 155, again, it's 666. So this is just very, 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 very fascinating the way this stuff ties together, yeah, across from one another. I mean, it's just absolutely mind-boggling the way this works. But I just wanted to mention that. I wanted to mention this cross, yeah, the Great Scott again, and I wanted to mention some of this stuff that surrounds that thing, yeah, the balance point. This is, again, coming back into balance. This is, again, maybe a balance point, yeah, and this is, again, referring to a balance point, okay. The other thing I forgot to, I mean, if you look at a 2 and a 5, a 2 and a 5, if you look at the symbolism, the structure, and I've mentioned this before, those two numbers can invert, okay? And the way I write a 7, a 4 and a 7 can invert as well, become one another, a bit like 6 and 9, okay? So 2 and 5, 4 and 7, and 6 and 9 are numbers that interchange very well, and actually an 8 and a 3 interchange quite well as well. And of course 11 is 11, you know. That does, you know, that is what it is. So it's interesting when you look at flipping things, yeah? And that's what we're dealing with, yeah? We're dealing with a reflection, you know, an inverse idea. And That's what reality is about. That's what physical reality is, an inversion of the spirit world and vice versa. Okay. So, with that being all said, and that's took care of that now. Okay. What I want to do is I want to quickly go to some of the birthdays, some of the other messages there, and then that will link me into my final decode, which will be actually won't be part of this. I'll label it separately because it's an interesting thing on its own right, but it will tie back into this. So let's go to this real quick. Well, we're back to the dollar bill. We don't really need to look at that. Let's go to some of the. I don't want to do that one. Hang on. I'm going to go to. Okay. Actually, where I need to start. Sorry, jumping you about here. I need to start on birthdays. Okay. So I've got the 3187 dates that we can get up. I've got that the 6th of July up because that's the 187th day of the year, and I've got the 187 here, July the 18th, and the other date I've got up is August the 17th. Okay, so we're going to look at those birthdays that fall on that day. I'm going to whiz through them really quickly, and because there's not really much point in. I mean, you can do all this for yourself now. I mean, you can look up birthdays and put in the comments, and we can, I'm just going to just skim over them for the people that can't be bothered to go and look it up themselves. Maybe it's not that interesting. I don't know. Okay, so we start off, look, we're starting off with the hot topic date first. We're doing July the 18th, right? We got Robert Hooke. Reminds me of a certain event that happened. Born on the Isle of Wight. The Isle of Wight is known for different colours of sand. I'm going to leave that link at that. You can make the rest of that. You can put 2 and 2 together there with that one. Grace. I mean, I don't want to go on too much about these things. I get to the next real interesting character here. George. We've got the George reference again. Machine Gun Kelly. The machine gun. What is the most famous machine gun there is? Okay, don't say Tommy gun. In my mind, the most famous machine gun is the AK-47. Okay, so we've got the 47 of independence right there, and the AK. Let's just geometrize that. A1 and K is 11. 111. So those same set of numbers, the triple bar event, yeah, and 47. Machine Gun Kelly. And what a nice reference. Okay, look at his mugshot. Look what the number is across his chest. Across around his neck here. 15595. Okay, we got the 155 right here in this mugshot. I mean, it's just you just can't look. He's born in the place where the king is from Memphis. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Again, back with all the Egyptian stuff. I mean, the Luxor Hotel at Vegas, the Hoover Dam, all that Egyptian stuff. I mean, I don't know what to say. This is interesting. What's interesting about this guy is he dies at either 58 or 59. They've got two different ages for some reason on him. But again, he's born and dies on the same calendar day. I mean, just interesting, isn't it? Who else we got in here that's interesting? And of course, we'll come on to we'll tie back into the machine gun later with a few things, or the gunshot or whatever. But I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is interesting. Oh, here we go. Mandela Effect. Nelson Mandela, but I mean, if that wasn't a huge truth movement, the Mandela Effect, I don't personally believe that the Mandela Effect is retrocausality or something going on with that whole idea there. I think it's just human fallibility. I think that the reality is trying to say to you, look, stuff in the past becomes fiction, right? You've got to remember it correctly even, and there's a good chance that Mandela Effect is just caused by, you know, the way we remember things, all right? It's like Chinese whispers, or what do they call it over your telephone when you pass a message on and the thing gets changed, and all you've got to do is your mind, the way it stores information in certain filing cabinets and alongside other things that look similar, there's a chance that that can get slightly corrupted, and again, we're dealing with fiction, once it goes into the memory, it essentially becomes fiction. There's only really the here and now that is the truth. That's the balance point, the here and now. Once you get into the past and the future, you're dealing with elements of fiction there, and it's very difficult to come to a truthful conclusion about those things. So you shouldn't get too wrapped up in those things, and that's what we tend to do, rather than dealing with the here and now. So, Mandela Effect, you can explain the Mandela Effect even just with a loaded question, just by asking the right question. This is what cops do when they want to get a confession out of somebody or them to say something incriminating. Yeah, they start with a loaded question. Was it Dolly in James Bond fell in love with Jaws? Did she have braces or not? You've already placed that idea of braces into somebody's consciousness there just by asking that question in a loaded manner, just by asking that question in a loaded manner. And then we see that she's got to have affiliation for somebody with funny teeth. You automatically somehow would apply braces to her teeth. Yeah, I don't know if people are following what I'm going on about here, but this was, I'm getting sidetracked with the Mandela Effect now. It's like Monopoly. Did the Monopoly guy have a monocle or not? Yeah, I mean, just the idea of monopoly seeds that idea into the consciousness right there. Mono, yeah? Did he have a monocle? I mean, I don't know, and then you factor that in with other characters look the same, like Mr. Peanuts or whatever the hell his name was, the KP Nuts guy. I mean, your brain is filing stuff away, and that thing can be, there can be a slight error, yeah, in that in the random access memory, in the RAM, the thing that's got to be sacrificed, the RAM. All right, enough of this. So we've got Nelson Mandela. Well, that's interesting. I don't, I don't really want to spend a whole bunch of time on here. Richard Branson, if there wasn't a Virgin reference, and this is the Virgin controlling us, yeah? This is the unholy Virgin, yeah? He's a capitalist. He's a businessman. You will have a hard time becoming balanced and being a businessman. It's possible to do, but not the way that these guys do it. Okay? Again, another good reference. Who else we got here? There was some other interesting ones. I'm not going to go through everybody. I mean, oh dear. I mean, there are some other good. Vin Diesel. I mean, I haven't really got anything to say about Vin Diesel. I mean, this was another interesting one. This MIA, right? She had a one-hit wonder. Well, I'd say one-hit wonder. She's had some other hits, but this is the main one. This character here, missing in action, MIA, this female rapper, shows up in, well, I'm just going to talk about it. She shows up in the Madonna halftime show. Yeah? The 2012 Madonna halftime show. We've got Philippe Petit in it, Man on Wire in that show. We've got tons of references to the Dam. It's Madonna, the Virgin. I mean, there are a ton of references in that halftime show. Just the way she enters the show. I've done it before. But, this character here. This character showing up. And she has a... Is this the one? No, I'm going to go on to this in just a second. She has the start of this. Her main hit was Paper Planes, And at the start of it, we've got these paper planes going over the Brooklyn Bridge here. This starts off like the Sade Cherish the Day video in the black and white with, and these planes are headed towards where the World Trade Center would have been. Yeah, were the planes fictional? You know, what you write on paper, you write the fiction on paper. Paper planes, fictional planes. Again, alluding to the dollar bill decode, because if you remember when those decodes first came out, I think it was the $20 bill showing the Twin Towers. You know, you were folding the dollar bill like a paper plane, like you'd make a paper plane. So again, this video is loaded with bits and bobs. There's a shot of the till somewhere here. I don't know if I can get it. They're putting money in the till. The only note that they leave, the only note that's up the wrong way is the dollar bill. They draw attention to that. There's several things. There's some other references, some 718 references with the area code on signs. We've got the skull and bones reference in there. You know, I mean, and at the end of this, we've got the gunshots, the machine gun Kelly going off. We've got the gunshots with, and of course the gun, the projectile, the arrow that is shooting. That's the thing that's got to shoot through the eye of the needle. That's the thing that's got to come out of the matrix, right? Out of the dam. And at the whole time while those gunshots are going off, the lyrics are going, she's singing murder, 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 you know, at the end of this thing. I mean, it's just loaded. It's absolutely loaded. But not to dwell too long on that, because that ties back in with another 187, okay? And I'll get onto that in a minute, but just bear that in mind, and let's finish out these birthdays. So I've pretty much done that lot of birthdays, okay? The July 18th lot. So let's go to now the 6th of July. Let's go to the start of this, because I'm not in the right spot. Okay, start at the beginning, and let's head on through it real quick. I don't really want to talk about this guy too much, but the Teapot Dome scandal. This was a big scandal. Henry Ford Sinclair. This was a big scandal before Watergate, so this is a very early scandal. I think it's one of the first times a politician goes to jail. Just the teapot, yeah? The pot that the tea is in, the Christ, the cross is inside the teapot and inside the dome. Just little references. The teapot and the dome show up in the Lady Gaga 911 video. They're heavily referenced. And again, the Sinclair. I mean, if you've seen the Da Vinci Code, you'll know what Sinclair is referencing to, okay? So, let's carry on through. I don't want to spend too much time on this stuff. I just really want to do the main characters. We've got Nancy Reagan there. I mean, God. Who else we got? There was one in here, and I don't know if I've gone by it, and I don't know if this is the right date, but I will mention it in case I fly by it. I probably would have flown by it. Oh, here we go. Here's George W. Yeah, George W. Bush, the 43rd president. You know, here we go. He was around for the 9/11 event. Interesting again. Okay, so we have all the references. George Washington. Now, who else do we have here? Sylvester Stallone, Demolition Man. You know, Rocky, the rock that has to come out from the tomb, in front of the tomb, so man can get back out. The balanced man can resurrect. Rambo, yeah, the ram that has to die. Ramadan, the sacrificial ram, the thing that you've got to do. You've got to ram through the bow. The bow is the dam, yeah, it's the thing. The bow is the arrow, you know, it's like the aeroplanes. The wings form the bow, and the fuselage is the arrow. The bow and the arrow. You've got to ram the bow. You've got to ram out of the bow. The bow is the dam. Oh, Sylvester Stallone, been in a ton of interesting films that reference the whole thing. Demolition Man with the with the murder death kills the thing that flips to mind right now with this dude. And he's got the 1 in his name, and so forth and so on, and we can decode him another day. Who else we got? There was something. There was a nice little reference on one of these. There was a character in here, and I don't know if I might have flown by him on the other one, and he might be in here, but I don't want to read every single little detail. And you can go through these and look for yourself. I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can make arguments for. But there's the one here that I really want to focus on. We'll get to him. And for some strange reason, he doesn't have a... They don't make a big deal out of him. And this is 50 Cent. Yeah? 50 Cent. The Super Bowl. 213. The Super Bowl this year. 50 Cent is there. Being reborn upside down. Coming out of the Vesica Pisces. And with Dr. Dre. Dr. Andre. Yeah, Andre Andrew. Dr. Andrew. The Saint Andrew. The Great Scott again. The creator of 50 Cent, the creator of Snoop Dogg, the creator of all those other people that were there. He's the doctor. He's the thing that brought those things into the world. You know, I mean, and again, with this. And so I might as well just link back to Dr. Dre right now. I do have something up on it. And let's look at it real quick. The song's called Deep Cover. Also known, aka known as 187. Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, one of their first tracks. Okay. And Snoop Dogg's got some lyrics in there. He's 187 on a undercover cop, right? Repeated over and over again. Interesting again. We've got another nice little reference with the Super Bowl 213 and back to this 187. Okay. Super interesting. Anyway, what were we on? Were we on this one? So we've got 50 Cent referenced again. I don't need to go back through all this stuff. This is all in our videos. Okay. Calvin Hart. Yeah. The place where Jesus is at. Calvin Hart. You know, I mean, what do I have to say here? So I think that's pretty much covered that lot. And let's go to the last lot now. And this will get... No, we're at the end. Let's go to the beginning. Oh dear, oh dear. Let's break down some of these ones. We're in August now, the 17th of August. Who do we have? Davy Crockett, the guy that dies at the Alamo. Yeah, the alimony is what the wife gets when you divorce, when you get out of the relationship because it's gone bad, right? Davy Crockett dies at the Alamo. You know, again with the Lady Gaga 911, we've got this. I wonder if I've got it up. Can I show you it? She's at the Alamo, or is she at some kind of Clint Eastwood type setting out in the desert? Can we get a picture of it? Come on. Here we go. Coming into it now. Here it is, right? So we've got Clint Eastwood references, we've got the Alamo, we've got Davy Crockett references. You know, we're just all over the place right now, right? Davy Crockett. Where does Davy Crockett show up? He shows up in 1955. Yes, in Back to the Future. I want to show you this. Let's see if I've got it. Okay, Bring Me a Dream. Okay, here we are, Davy Crockett. The Ballad of Davy Crockett. When he walks into the diner and meets George for the first time, again, another reference to George again. The St. George's Cross is the balance thing, yeah? Yeah, it's the cross of Christ, the St. George's Cross. It's the blood moon, okay? It's the red cross across the moon, yeah? Across the white moon, across the white background. Okay, what is playing in the diner at that point is this song, Davy Crockett song, you know. Davy Crockett. That song is playing, right? So we've got two references right there. Well, there's another reference. Hang on a minute. This reference where he meets his, just a few scenes on, he's meeting his aunts and uncles, if we could ever get to it. And there we have the Calvin Hart reference again. There's Joey behind bars, because that's where we are now. At the end of the thing, we're behind bars, and Joey's in charge, you know. And Joey's about as clever as that baby in there. And look, here's the other Davy Crockett reference I'm thinking of. I guess his uncle Milton here has got the Davy Crockett hat on. Okay, just nuts, absolutely nuts. Okay, leave it at that. Let's move on with some more birthdays, some more references. So we've got some good ones into Back to the Future, and there's another nice little reference I'm going to come to in a minute that I want, and that will move me on to the next video, but I'll do that in just a minute. Samuel Goldwyn, Nate West. I mean, look at these names. We can pick out all kinds of names. Come on, what else we got here? O'Hara. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, look at this. Francis Gary Powers, American Spy, Austin Powers. You know, I mean, now we can link into all the Austin Powers stuff. What else have we got here? Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro. I want to think he was in that film Las Vegas. I covered that ages and ages ago. But De Niro, yeah, money. Let's go to the Spanish now. De Niro, the money, the $1 bill again. Oh, jeez. Look at that, 1943. We got 143 again. Okay, Larry Ellison, founder of the Oracle. You know, the Matrix, the Oracle. You know, is this telling us a date here? Is the Oracle telling us the date? You just can't write this stuff, you know. What else have we got here? Sean Penn. I don't really know. I can't read. I don't want to say anything about him because I don't know enough about Sean Penn. But I'm sure he's absolutely loaded. And I bet there's a few other nice little references in here. What else we got? Come on, and we got Little Pump. I don't even know who this guy is. Why the hell they've even put a thing on for him? But yeah, ironically, we're probably gonna, if the Hoover Dam were to blow up, we're probably gonna need more than a little pump. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it at that for the birthdays. There's a couple of other ones in there that I know I've missed, like Roosevelt, FDR Jr. is in there. He's born on that day, and of course Roosevelt is a very nice link back to the Hoover Dam, because Hoover starts it, Roosevelt finishes it. So we have a very nice little link there, and from there I'm going to link into a couple of other things. I'm going to link into the film with Samuel L. Jackson called 187. This film, again, this reminds me of Falling Down. This film, you know, Samuel L. Jackson ends up becoming the righteous man. He's just had enough, and he just takes the law into his own hands, which is kind of what you've got to do, but you've got to operate with natural law. Okay, and so this film, it's a good film. It's actually a really good film. It's worth a watch. It reminds me of Falling Down, where Michael Douglas takes the law into his own hands. He becomes a righteous man again. The same idea with a lot of Clint Eastwood stuff, yeah, becoming the righteous man. So 187, the name says it all, and a couple of interesting things with the start of this. He starts off on the East Coast at Roosevelt Whitney High School. So we got, just out of coincidence again, Whitney Houston's wedding day is one of those 187 dates that we were just looking at. We got Roosevelt referenced again, so there's like double references there. Stuyvesant. Matt likes to go on about Stuyvesant. So again, that MIA character, that female rapper, This is her home. So this is referenced again back with her. I mean, you know, we're just around in circles with all this stuff. And so I would say it's just funny that this reminds me of Falling Down. And so I'm like, it's almost like these are a paired up set of films here, even though they've really got nothing to do with it. Michael Douglas, coincidentally, I believe, was in the Las Vegas film as well, along with De Niro there I was just talking about. Just nuts, just absolutely nuts. And where they end up, he ends up on the West Coast at John Quincy Adams High School. The dam in here, and John Quincy is number 2. Yeah, so Washington's number 1, and John Quincy Adams is the 2nd president. Interesting again. Okay, I don't know what else to say about this film. We can go out. We could even look at music in it, and we could do all these names. There's no point. You can do this for yourself. Just interesting. What else do I want to do? I've pretty much covered everything. I've either talked about it or so there's one last thing, right? Because I've mentioned Clint Eastwood several times. The breastplate that is on the dollar bill, I think, is super important. It's re-emphasized in Back to the Future, where Marty uses that breastplate. Okay, the Dollars trilogy. Okay, in the Dollars, again with this film, there's an incident in it where he loses his grandfather's gold watch. That same gold watch, well, it's not the same gold watch, but that idea shows up in the Dollars trilogy for a few dollars more. The chimes on the gold watch, you'll know what they are, and I'm just gonna reference back to a random band in England. This was a huge hit when I was growing up. Used to listen to this out clubbing all the time. Gunman, yeah, the Gunman, Machine Gun Kelly, by a band called, I call it a band, I think it was just a couple of guys. 187 Lockdown. We've just had Lockdown, and is 187 coming up? New Jack recordings. Oh, I just love it. Let me just play just a second of this, and you'll recognize it. So they took a sample from that film, from the Gold Watch, and they made a dance track out of it, basically. 187 Lockdown is the band's name, and Gunman. I mean, you just can't write this stuff. How the hell does this happen? Okay, so we've got another nice little link there, right? I don't know what else I want to cover in this video. I've pretty much covered the birthdays and all the other stuff. I think actually, as a matter of course, I think Nelson Mandela gets married on one of those days as well. So I mean, you can look at all this stuff for yourself. I'm going to show you now one last scene in here where where Marty and Doc are doing the little scale model run through. Okay, and what ends up happening, and the reason why I want to bring this up is because it's going to link into my next little video. Okay, so I'm trying to do this in some kind of logical order. There's the watch. Yeah. Let's go on a little bit. Come on. And there's one other thing that I didn't mention. I will backtrack very briefly to it. If I get to the point, I've gone too far. It's just right here somewhere. Okay, just at this point, before this, as this car goes across the floor. Okay, that's too far. Blimey hell. Okay, come on. I can see it in the thumbnail. I must be just a little bit too far. Come on back. Okay, here we are. So the car's going to fly across here. Okay, on fire. And this is what the DeLorean does when it's rebirthed through fire. This is why we have the fire trail when it goes back to the future. And the thing's doing the same thing here. It's showing you the same thing, the rebirth through fire. Okay, and the rebirth through fire is this same 811. The spray paint pattern on the floor here. The 811. It's got the Twin Tower falling down on fire. Very, very nice. a nice reference. And again, this references pi, this references 911, this references balance, this references it references everything, yeah, because it's that central balance point, the 1118. Okay, and so what this does, this car shoots across here on the floor, and if I can do it, the DeLorean, which is the arrowhead here, the thing that is again Marty going back through the eye, through the bullseye is right here, and this is going to bring me on to my next decode, which is the dartboard. Okay, and I'm going to show you another film that crops up in with the 187. That's for the next video. One last 187 that I forgot to mention, and I touched on the actual thing itself, was the Sade video, and somewhere in here we have the kid, the Malcolm X, hopping about, and I've done it before, so I won't even bother to try and find it, I don't think. And there's an 817 in the background, and I've already covered that in a different video, so go ahead and find it. But the kid's jumping around. There's a fire hydrant, a ghetto blaster, and man, I wish I could have just got right on it. This scene right here, Cyrus. Oh dear, oh dear. No, I can't find it. I can't be bothered. It's there. There's an 817 right there in this thing. So I'm going to end it there, and the next decode will be the dartboard, and that's going to be the final one for right now. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one. All right, cheers, bye.